crazy about this.
Well, he's doing that. Please allow me to introduce him to you. Wait. Opposite fingers. There we go. This is Colonial Theatre Marketing Director Robert Trait, or Bob Trait, or Backstage Bob, if you like to use his emoji in our Discord channel. That's him.
That's me. I'm the guy who was covered in all of the protective PPE.
He takes his protective PPE very seriously, which I applaud him for that. Hello to all you folks who are already jumping in. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces. It's nice to see you in the chat over there. We see you. So I, as you know, am Dash Daring. I'm sorry if seeing my eyeballs upset you, but it's the holiday season, and I have them.
That's true. I didn't even think, because I know you in your normal life. In your
in my normal life.
I actually don't think of you with sunglasses on all the time. To me, you're just Dash, so it's different, that you actually bring it up.
I imagine this is sort of how Mr. Lobo must feel all of the time, right? Because he's just Mr. Lobo. He's Mr. Lobo.
I know. I had a meeting with Mr. Lobo, and I even said, Mr. Lobo, what do I call you? And he said, Mr. Lobo. And I was just like, I was really hoping to get into the inner circle. He's like, my name's Carl. And I was just like, hey, Carl, and I would have never have called him Carl outside of the one other person I was talking to him with, but it didn't happen. Like I say,
behind the scenes Lobo talk. We love that guy.
I didn't know what it was. We got some hellos already. So we say hello to Heidi. She won one of the Blobfest shorts this summer. We went virtual. So there's Heidi. And Heidi laid on the street in LA for her Blobfest shorty. And kudos to you, Heidi. I've lived in LA for a long time, and no. Wouldn't have done it.
Blobfest history, man. She laid down on what was that? It was on the Walk of Stars.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of the Walk of Stars. I didn't even know Steve McQueen had a star, and I definitely would have gone and take a picture of it. So that was really cool. So I see my friend Dwayne Zaring. He's on here. Mm-hmm. Hello, Jean. Hello, Rachel.
And Gerald is there.
Gerald Harris. That is super fan. Mm-hmm. I found Gerald at Blobfest. I think it was 2019. And I went up to him and I made sure he was having a good time.
It's not hard, man. Gerald knows how to have a good time. So every time I see him, he's big smiles. It's nice to talk to him.
Yeah. And I was just, if the super fan's not having a good time, then we're doing something seriously wrong.
Well, so Bob and I were going to talk about a couple different things sort of off the beaten path tonight. Well, obviously, we're doing this because we're going to all start and watch It's a Wonderful Life together at 8 p.m. Normally, we would be doing this in the theater with hundreds and hundreds of you to near sold-out shows with special presentations on stage. And we just can't. But we thought we'd watch it together. But let's talk about some of those different fun things we do when the world is normal, whatever that is now. When you walked into a show like It's a Wonderful Life at the Colonial in the past, especially, there were some differences. If you're new to the Colonial, if you're from after the bank building expansion opened, if you joined us then,
exactly,
things were a little different back in the day when you walked in. And there was no opening to go into the larger space on the right. There was just the narrow lobby area and the very small snack bar.
It was one of those things I used to early on when I was just a volunteer. I would help run the social media pages, the Facebook page especially, and we would tell everybody on Facebook, get there early. And I would tell my own family, like if the show started normally at 2, I would say, get there at 1. Please get there at 1. And they were like, why so early? And I'm like, do you want popcorn? Do you want soda? I said, all these lines are going to form and there's no space. Mm-hmm. We sit 600 people, but we have one concession stand and it's one guy who's making everything.
Well, listen, hey, kudos to the team, to the Colonial Theatre team who got people through that line very quickly for what was going on. But if you can imagine the theater as it is now, with on your left when you walk in the doors, there is the staircase that goes up into the balcony level. Mm-hmm. There used to be a mirrored staircase on the other side, so there would be 2 staircases. You just go either way. Obviously, that part's missing because we had to blow out into the new space. But if you can imagine, the line for concessions would actually come out from that little mini old concession stand and go up both sets of stairs and around, overlooking the main space.
It was so much fun to see everybody, and everybody had that great holiday attitude. Like, yeah, I'm waiting in line, but I'm about to see this great movie. And I also loved looking at everybody's little holiday ornaments that they would wear. Like, would it be a scarf? Would it be a hat? Would it be a pin? And everybody was there for this very festive moment. And I always think it's funny. My roommate in college wrote a paper about It's a Wonderful Life, how it's a multi-genre film and it's not just a Christmas movie. I mean, Christmas happens at the beginning and at the end, but there's so much more in the middle. There's time travel aspects. It's an alternate reality. There's angels. Like, there's so much to this movie, but yet I wouldn't watch it any other way. I have watched it at the theater since I became a volunteer in 2007, and tonight will be the first time I think I've watched it on DVD since 2007.
Wow. Like, think about that. That's you're talking 13 plus years.
Yep.
I kind of find there's a couple movies I feel that way about, where I see Jaws every year at the Colonial, but we didn't this year. So we as friends had to virtually watch it like this.
Yeah.
Christmas Story was one of those ones. Longtime Colonial fans, you may have noticed I haven't done the introduction for A Christmas Story for the past maybe 2 years, but for almost 10 years, I was introducing A Christmas Story every time it played. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, and I know that there's some hokiness to it, but I feel like, just like with Blobfest, when folks come for A Christmas Story or It's a Wonderful Life or Casablanca or Jaws, and there's 500 people with them, you get swept up in these emotions. Everyone's emotions. It becomes like a larger thing.
I think part of it is that you're at that moment where you're actually timed into everything that's going in the story. And I've said this to people at It's a Wonderful Life. I said, this is a chance to actually watch it with other people, which is a rare thing that most people don't ever do. We fortunately would get to watch it with hundreds of people every year.
Mm-hmm.
But also a chance to not do the laundry, not have your cell phone on, not the doorbell rings and you're distracted and you missed something that ties you to that emotional thread of George Bailey through the whole movie. And that's what makes it, seeing it, that much more special in the theater. And I don't think I've ever watched A Christmas Story at the Colonial. It was always a Saturday, and I used to wait tables. So Saturday was a day I always had to work. One, we were busy, made a lot of money. And two, I had to have off Sunday because I was going to the Colonial for whatever the Sunday classic was.
Right.
So, I mean, I love A Christmas Story. Got a Red Ryder BB gun the following year for Christmas with my dad, and still watch it every year. And I still get upset and emotionally invested at the end. It's just the music. It's everything that ties those final moments where he got it. Like, he got what he wanted. Mm-hmm. And then we have to go through the end of the roller coaster with, bang. So we're talking about a lot of things here, but we should also probably talk about, well, this is one of two things that we definitely are going to talk about. So in case you're wondering, we have official Colonial Holiday Special Root Down beer. So Root Down Brewing Company is right around the corner from us at the theater. They made this special beer for us for the holidays, and we are thrilled to say that we are going to be doing this quarterly in partnership with them. And 50% of each can sold, or each 4-pack, goes to the Colonial. So it's actually, it's great for us as well. And we're going to have this beer on tap at the theater once we reopen. We're looking to have it, hopefully, if we reopen sometime in January, we're looking to actually have it in kegs there. So I'm going to open mine up. I've probably had about 8 of these now. Not today.
Today.
I had about 8 of these, and I just went and bought, I bought some for my dad because he lives up in Reading, so I want to make sure he got it. It's an English style.
Yeah, so this is an ESB, an English style bitter.
Yeah.
It's got so this lifelong Pennsylvanian, I get aftertaste notes that are like pretzels. And oh my God, as a Pennsylvanian, I'm just like, just dump the pretzels in my face.
I had Bavarian pretzels today, so I was craving this. And I told Dash before we started that I was going to one-up him. So I actually have, I don't know if you can see it, I actually have my Colonial cup with the lid on it that I was going to pour this into.
For the full movie experience. There you go.
Colonial movie experience.
Oh, Bob's going to overfill that foam. Look at him go.
Yeah. But
While Bob is pouring his beer, like with lots and lots of foam, Gene Beretta asks if Dash has a position at the Colonial aside from being Dash for the movie events. Dash is actually Chuck, and sorry to break the fragile magic. But, I've been a volunteer for the Colonial since 2010. I actually I was first time at the Colonial was for Aliens and Ghostbusters double feature way back in probably 2001 or 2002.
Wow.
And then we moved into the area much later, a couple years later, and Bob was actually hosting First Friday Fright Night movies at the Colonial. I was so excited to get to see Evil Dead and Exorcist and those movies on the big screen. It was right around the corner. Probably very much like many of you were like, oh my God, this place near me is playing these great movies. So I've been a volunteer film host, event host. I've done volunteer social media and graphic design. I do sometimes I go on the radio and do interviews for things like Blobfest because I know a lot about the Blob. So no, Dash is a volunteer. Bob is an employee. I keep doing that. Bob is an employee.
I know. I'm trying to point to you too, and it's like this.
And my wife is delivering me cookies. This is the best.
You know, my wife actually left to go get M&Ms to make Christmas cookies for Santa. Ooh. So, we're very, she's doing it all tonight. It's a Wonderful Life, and then we're gonna watch this. So another thing we'd like to mention is that the screening itself of It's a Wonderful Life was actually sponsored by Suzanne Norris of Century 21 Norris Valley Forge. So this is multiple years she has been a sponsor of the film, and a lot of people want to know what that means. And if you sponsor the film, yes, you get to come up on stage and you can talk about it and you can do all those things, and you get passes that you can give to your friends or your business. But sponsoring the movie actually enables the Colonial to make more of a profit off of the film. We have to pay the rights to show a movie, and then do we have a print of it, or we do have a digital cinema production of it? So sponsoring the film, she actually would cover the cost for us. So we actually turn a bigger profit by having a sponsor for the film. So it's a great thing to have, and it's always when in normal times, these are things that are available for people to do. We actually had a sponsor for Monty Python. Kevin Pound sponsored Monty Python again.
Kevin Pound has sponsored Monty Python, I think, at least the whole 10 years I've been volunteering.
Yeah, I think the coconuts just have his name upstairs on the attic. And I actually found them again. I found where Scott hid them.
Oh, the coconuts?
They're the coconuts. And I'm like, oh. And I found the Monty Python poster upstairs too. So it was nice to actually put that out when we actually were able to have that. So talk a little bit for the movie tonight for It's a Wonderful Life. Tell some of the folks at home who may not have been able to see the show live at the Colonial about you and your special group and the special shenanigans you get up to before screenings. A couple of years ago, my wife, she said to me, you should have one of your friends get up on stage and kind of mix it up a little bit and do a little bit more of a, just instead of just you talking about the movie and introducing the host, and that maybe add a little extra element to it. So a friend of mine who is an actor in Los Angeles loves this movie, and I said, hey, would you be Uncle Billy? Would you come in, interrupt me as drunken Uncle Billy, and then walk off stage? And I'll put a trash can off stage. You can kick it, and then you got to come out and say, I'm all right, I'm all right, I'm all right. So we were enacting this almost this fake. It wasn't fake though in the movie. It's a real mistake that they worked into the movie. Uncle Billy walks off stage, and then actually they dropped a light, and then it made this big sound, and then he just said, I'm all right, I'm all right, and they left it in the movie. So I had my friend Sean do this. I had no idea at that point that this would become this elaborate, what are we doing next year? I say probably, I moved back from LA in 2012, so probably the last 8 years, we have tried to come up with a different moment from the movie. And then, of course, my other friends, now the other part of the story is that I knew Sean in high school. We were in an acting troupe together. We did skits. We were on Berks Cable Access. and we were in a theater group, and we would do improv together. We did improv together for 2 straight years, and then we did community theater together. So it's a very back and forth, fast thing that he and I and our friends, there's 5 of us or 6 of us all together, we had this very quick back and forth, and there's a huge moment of trust. So one of my other friends said, well, I want to get in on this. And then it became this elaborate, like, what can we do? And this and that. So last year we actually, because my wife had a baby, and my wife and I had a baby.
You guys had a baby.
We didn't have as much time. We were very stressed out. So we actually came up with a skit about putting on the skit. And then the last member of our comedy troupe finally was in it. So he had seen pictures for years and said, I have to be in this one. So it was full circle. We finally got everybody in it. But this year, my friend Sean, who actually was our diehard Santa in our virtual
For
Krampus,
those who were at the Krampus event, Sean played Santa.
He was still like, okay, what are we doing? And I'm like, dude, we're not going to be on stage. Like, this is not the typical year. And then we even debated filming some sort of Zoom skit of us talking about doing the skit or doing something on Zoom that we could play in front of everybody. But we got shut down. So it's one of the things at Christmas that this movie, and now everything that it has become with the theater and in my own life with my family and my friends. I mean, our parents come, their parents, my friends' parents come, and now everybody comes back to my house afterwards. And that family togetherness, that moment from the end of the movie is here at my house, which is great. So we actually have it's become a thing that people say, oh, it's the Sunday before Christmas is your place because that's when the movie is, and that's when we're doing all this.
My wife is nodding vigorously while she bites into a cookie in agreement.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments of a couple Christmases ago was your wife. She came to the Christmas party, and because she was dressed like she was from the 50s, my father said, "What's my mother doing here?"
I remember that. She's saying it popped up in her Facebook memories today. Your point, though, about tiny apologies if you've never seen It's a Wonderful Life. I'm not giving a ton away, but the idea that every person's life, every individual life, no matter how small it might ever feel, matters to so many people. Mm-hmm. And you see that. I get choked up watching It's a Wonderful Life at the Colonial because the Colonial sort of like engenders that idea, that concept, so you can physically see it. You could go a year or two without going to the theater and then show up for a classic Sunday, and there are people that you've chatted with about movies a half a decade before that are glad to see you and want to talk about your thoughts on that movie. You walk around town in Phoenixville and see people that maybe you don't know their name, but you definitely recognize them. You've conversed with these people. It's a real community where everybody matters, and it's awesome.
It's for me, this is probably, there's a lot of things that we sacrificed this year, and this was the one that even back in the summertime I thought is probably not going to happen. And it's the roughest one because this was the one thing that I think I look forward to. I mean, yeah, we have Blobfest and I love all of that. And, I'm already hoping that Blobfest is going to happen the way it should happen, the way it should be. Yeah. But, like not having this one was rough. So, it's nice to do this tonight. It's nice that, we still had sponsors for the movie. It's nice that we had private shows for this movie, that people still wanted to see it there at the Colonial. And I think that if everything would have been a slightly easier, or we would not have been forced to close, that I think we probably would have had some of our best attendance, if not sold out the theaters for those days. And we were going to show it for a week. Mm-hmm. So it would have given a lot. It wouldn't have given 300 people, which is our normal. It's usually somewhere around 300. I didn't look up the old numbers. I don't think we've ever gone to 6.
No, but it's definitely hit in the 500s before. Yeah. So for those who may not be aware, the Colonial Theater's main house, the 1903 theater, seats 658, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right. That sounds.
Yeah, so there are a few movies that it will completely sell out for. Things like Rocky Horror Picture Show, it'll
Yeah.
sell out for. Concerts will sell out.
Transformers the movie.
What's that?
Transformers the movie.
Oh, yes, that's right. Transformers, the animated '80s film. That was a pretty big get for you, Bob. Right? That was a really exciting day.
Can't believe how virtual that one. Like it spread like wildfire. And we have people from Virginia and Maryland, and you're just like, but it was also the right moment. It was the 30th anniversary, and people wanted to see it, and and we showed it on film, so we got all the right little things in a row, and it still amazes me of how many people turned out for that film.
Is White Christmas your favorite screening at the theater? Like, is this
White Christmas or Wonderful Life?
I'm sorry, did I say White Christmas? Wonderful Life.
We only got 9 more minutes. It's a Wonderful Life probably is my most favorite. It's the one that I've consistently done the most. The film I've introduced so many times that I've actually look at my old notes from the year before and decide what's important, what's not important. What I've said a million times, what I feel like isn't relevant, and what's new, what's come out. Like we talked about the sequel one year when everybody wanted to do the sequel. And then I've even mentioned like, if you watch A Bishop's Wife, you can see young George Bailey and you can see Zuzu both in that movie with The Bride of Frankenstein. Or I said, hey, we're showing White Christmas, which means we've had 2 Alfalfa Schweitzer movies, showing. White Christmas though is probably the one that I had no desire to see. My dad kept telling me I should see it. My brother said you should go see it. I said, no, I'm not going to, I'm just going to introduce it. And I said, I introduced it, talked about the film, sat down, and then I say, I'll give it a couple minutes. I had nothing else to do. I'll give it a couple minutes. And I watch it all the time now. And I absolutely love White Christmas because of the Colonial, which is great because I probably would not have watched it at home. Never bothered to get into it, and it's such a weird movie as it is. It's so many, like, is this a musical number or is this part of the story of what's going on? So now I love White Christmas, and that's because of the Colonial. So
it's because everybody loves Irving Berlin.
Exactly. See how you got that in there?
Nice setup. I appreciate that. Christmas time is great too because we're usually we're in the theater even more than normal. It feels like there's lots of busy times in a normal Colonial Theater year, and I can think back to entire weekends I've been at the theater hosting events. The weekend that we showed all 8 Harry Potter movies as a 2-day marathon, and it was me and Joel Rickenbach were there for just about the entire thing. That was,
I forget which Splatterfest it was, but we were literally there Friday night for Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh yeah,
marathon of Splatterfest, and then came back on Sunday. And I don't even remember what the Sunday movie was, but we had to see it.
At that point, your brain doesn't remember it anyway.
I remember it, Body Snatchers, and I remember Splatterfest, but whatever that Sunday movie was, no clue. We'd have to look it up. We'd have to scroll through the thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you're scrolling back through like history, and it's like looking at all these posters that we've done through the years, and all these various poster artists that we've worked with and been blessed to get to showcase. Has always been just remarkable to me.
Do you have a time that you want to set people up for on the Discord chat to start play? The title card, if you have the DVD, is at 19 seconds, 19 seconds. So I don't know if that matters.
So I don't think so. I think that so if you're watching at home and you're going to want to tune in with us, it's on Amazon Prime if you don't have a DVD or something like that. So my thought was just to have us all at that pause at 0, like started at 1 second and pause it, and at 8 o'clock, which we'll still be talking to you, so we'll say go. That's when we'll press play. So if you haven't already, while you're watching us, turn on the TV and pause it after the advertisement. Amazon Prime is inconsistent. They'll sometimes have an ad in front of the movie. So get past that, hit pause. Looking at our TV right now, and it's a bell ringing. So
we have a question from Jean Beretta. Jean asked, do we have our own library of films? And to answer your question, Jean, if you're still watching, Excuse me, the beer's kicking in. We are actually looking into that, actually obtaining our own movies, our own prints of films, so that we'd still have to pay the rights to show a movie publicly. That's part of being a theatrical venue. But we are looking to actually grow our own library. We have a documentary, believe it or not, that I can't remember the name for, and then we actually have a copy of Garden State on 35 millimeter as well.
Just got
So
left behind by accident, or
it was donated. So, oh, Gene's still on. So we are looking into that, Gene, and it's getting to a point where we are becoming one of the few places that actually have a 35 millimeter projector. So we
that
are
was a really important thing when the Colonial Theatre in 2013 purchased with the help of a grant from Pennsylvania for the arts, and also a lot of generous donations, purchased the building that's adjacent. We moved in to started planning to move into it. And one of the first most important decisions was we have to upgrade to digital. But are we keeping our 35 millimeter film projectors? And from us film fans and your hosts were advocating for that, most of us. And the audience, when we had asked them, would say, yes, we want to continue seeing 35 millimeter. It's not the only way to see a presentation, but in my opinion, and in probably Bob's opinion too, it has an authenticity to it that I feel like digital doesn't always have, unless it's a film that was natively shot in digital.
Yeah. And this year, actually, before everything went, well, early on, we did show Friday the 13th, part 5 on 35 millimeter back in March. And then did we show House on 35 millimeter? I think we did.
Yes, I think House was a 35 millimeter show as well.
Yeah. And then we even had Halloween on 35 millimeter back in October, which was great because we actually had 3 nights of that. So we had a week of Halloween at that point.
Thanks to our fan and friend, Tony DeTillo, who generously donated the use of his print for that. Donated the print, and we still had to pay the rights to show it, but we didn't have to get it sent to us. He just dropped it off. He was local. So it's a thing most people don't understand, or how it all works. And once you actually find out, it's a little bit easier to understand why we don't show things like Star Wars, because there's right issues and things get tied up. And just last week, I found out we can't show Willy Wonka this coming year, because it's going to be a Fathom event. So you have little things like that to deal with. But it does mean we have to be more creative, right? That means that, all right, we can't show Willy Wonka. Let's show something that is like that, or might be the same audience, but people don't really think about. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There you go. We just want to get those concession candy folks inspired. We got one. I'm being told by my handler, who is also my wife, that we have 1 minute. So if you haven't paused your movie yet, right at the beginning on Amazon, and skip the advertisement, please do so. We don't want you to be behind. So we should wrap it up. We have less than a minute. So we'll wish everyone a Merry Christmas. We look forward to seeing you in the theater, and socially distant for a time being, but then hopefully we can just give each other big hugs at Blockfest. Which seems to be the timeline of things when things maybe go normal. Fingers crossed. We really want to show our movie about a disease that tries to eat a town. It's an alien. It's not a disease. Come on. All right, here we go, folks. As we get to that 8 o'clock, we're gonna all press play. As soon as your timer at home hits 8, there we go. Hit play. We're gonna sign off. You guys have a wonderful night, and enjoy It's a Wonderful Life. We wish we were all there together to see it. We'll be over in the Discord if you want to talk while the movie's going on. If you want to drop trivia and do little things and drop the fireman emoji in whenever you can, I'd love to do that. That's my thing. The movie's on fire. The movie's on fire. Have a good night, Chuck. I'll talk to you soon. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a good holiday, everybody. Thank you.